OJ.
I know, right? Great to be adrenal.
That with my probiotics, my zinc,
Mm-hmm.
my one-a-days.
Gotta add a little sea salt, and then that pulls in the mineral content we're all deficient on.
Yeah, definitely. Grand Rising, or whatever part of the day it is when you partake in Pie Talk with me, B. Willis.
And Priscilla Z. Hey, everybody. Glad to see you.
This is episode 7.
7, lucky number.
Episode 7. We are back by popular demand. Speaking of, we have some shout outs.
Yeah. I got a fun little list here. It's been really cool to see all of you guys engaging in on our page and be it on YouTube or on Facebook. It's been fun to see the reviews. And so I just want to say a big thank you to Jason Founder. I appreciate your encouragement. Barb Smith, super cool to have you on our side. Sarah Jean, you are the best. I love all the comments you continue to leave all over the place with the little gems that you drop too.
Speaking of Sarah. Confirmed future guest.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? She said, I'm really nervous about being recorded. And my response was, well, just make it your day one.
Yeah, absolutely. I know how that feels, and it's actually pretty fun.
Come visit us. We know you're watching. Thank you.
Then we've got Joe Williams, which is also a great friend, and we appreciate you. And then one that's super fun for me is a friend, Adam A-Dog Gonzalez. He has a podcast out there as well.
Nice.
But it's really kind of fun because he watched me. I was the little girl when they were all having bands back in the 90s. And I was just like the little girl that hung out in the garage with my older brother. And so he's seen me from a tiny being onto where I'm at now. And he said, my girl, Priscilla Z, is throwing hands in her podcast. Give it a listen. And she's doing some pretty awesome things. Nice. I know that he is somebody who adamantly pursues internal evolution. It is what he is about naturally. And so I think that it's really cool to have him backing us up.
Yeah, big shout out to Michael Lee. Appreciate the feedback. You got right into my Messenger inbox. I appreciate you telling me how much you like and enjoy the show. Same with Ness Watson, still a fan. Shout out to Ninja, my number one fan, listens to all the podcasts, everything I got going on. He's been the biggest support in my life for probably the last decade. Big shout out to you, bro. Hope all is well with you down in SoCal. And actually, we're going to play a clip real quick, just a sound bite from Tara, almost my sister-in-law, So, and this sound clip was from her as a voice message to me, just talking about Pie Talk. I just want to give a moment and honor that real quick.
You guys have a really great thing going here. I love all the positivity. Not only are you giving us things to think about, but you're giving us examples of how it applies to you and how it could apply to other people. You're not only telling us how to maybe make changes to our day-to-day, but also to our state of mind and to our temples. I really appreciate the thought and the effort you guys are putting in to spread the good word to everybody.
Man, that's some dope positive praise, some authentic positive praise. And anybody else like that wants to honor us with a soundbite, you can send it to me directly in the messenger on Facebook or our email.
Yeah, we're at podcast or Pie Podcast.
Pie Talk Podcast?
Yes, sorry. Pie Talk Podcast at gmail.com. So
Pie Talk Podcast at gmail.com.
Perfect. I have a little shout out too that we should honor right now. That's extra special. I think B, you did a shout out to the universe with some tattoos recently.
So yeah, man. I and it's funny too because it leads right into another thing. So I got my angels on my neck, my 444 tattoo, and when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to represent it, I'm like, duh, I do music. So I put the 444 in the music notes, and Yeah, it's awesome. And what's so cool is I forgot to bring it up last episode because it was fresh, like done that day.
Mhm.
Shout out to Rally at Bulldog Tattoo.
Yeah.
Always been an honor working with you. He always gives me the good deals, shows me love. I've known him for a long time. Real good dude. And so last episode when we talk about numbers a lot, and I'm a life path 4, and two things that are really funny is my release date, December 22nd, 2022. If you were born on that day, you would have been a life path 4. So when I say like my freedom release, my freedom birthday, it still falls as a life path 4, which is just what are the odds, right?
Yeah, another thing that I think is extra wonderful is so the word universe is broken down in uni and verse, and that means one song. So you are extra acknowledging the good because he done put it in a song lyric on his neck.
Yeah, because when my angels speak to me, it's like music to my ears, and I want it close to my ear, and somewhere where it's visible, because I always see 444 on the clock, on the computer screen, sometimes in receipts. Like it's there, so I know my angels are talking to me, right? And then lastly, on that same topic, our last episode, I go in and I edit and I put an intro and an outro and this and that, and then I just download the edit and upload it to YouTube, and it came out to 29, which breaks down to 1111. 1111, which is 4.
Absolutely.
Right. So
beautiful.
It's just some just some beautiful things to pay attention to if you're into that. Again, if you're not, you're not. This is just something that we find very interesting, and it also aligns with the 4 agreements and the 4 seasons. Like 4 is a very strong number. It's a building number. Life path 4 are builders. And you know what? Let's jump into day 6.
All right, that sounds perfect.
Keep Effing Going by Joshua Smith
and Jordan Davis. We appreciate you guys always. Thanks for sharing all your thoughts. We got day 6. So it says, quiet your mind, visualize positive change, and speak this affirmation with conviction. I am worthy of love and kindness, and I choose to treat myself with compassion and understanding. This affirmation acknowledges your inherent worthiness as a human being and encourages you to approach yourself with kindness and gentleness. By repeating this affirmation to yourself regularly, you can cultivate a more positive and self-affirming mindset that can help you to heal and grow. Remember to say it with intention and believe it wholeheartedly. You deserve to feel good about yourself and your journey. For me, this is really interesting because I've always tried to speak impeccably with my word, but I don't know if I was allowing myself to wholeheartedly believe it and let it live in my body until recently, where I've really paid attention to that transfer. So one thing I always say is it's kind of like Peter Pan. So Peter Pan said, if you think of a wonderful thing or a positive thing, that'll give you wings. And the reason is because when he told the kids that they could fly, that idea was so foreign to them. They couldn't understand the uplifting thought of what that was. But if they could think of something that they had already experienced, something that they could really believe in their mind, that positivity would give them the wings to fly. So it wasn't just about what they were saying. It was about what they were believing in their mind.
Yeah, the belief is the activation of magic.
Absolutely.
Right. It's a beautiful thing. And the last line, actually, of the blueprint agreements is admitting to yourself that you are worth it.
Yeah.
And that we are what we agree to. What that brings up for me is just that, everything we've been perpetuating with Pi, pursuing internal evolution, by giving this affirmation to yourself as a gift every morning, or even throughout the day, or write it on your bathroom mirror. That's always been a really strong strategy and tactic for people when it comes to affirmations, is writing them on their bathroom mirror, where they're going to look at it every day, sometimes multiple times a day, right? So just give yourself permission to start affirming yourself, to be okay with being okay. Like I've said it before, and I'll continue to say that because it is not wrong to invest in yourself with your currency. It's your currency, it's your life. Yours, again, I've said this before, but yours is the only relationship that's guaranteed until you pass. It's guaranteed. You will be with you forever, right? So take care of you.
I love that. I also, from the blueprint, something that I've utilized is just that last sentence. We are what we agree to. And so I can use that to like check myself all the time. So like a little fleeting thought will come in my brain. And you got to think when you're a kid, you know, we're told to listen to the people above us, to take what they say and to accept it. And like Louise Hay that I've spoke about before, part of Hay House Productions, you know, someone told her that she couldn't be a dancer because of the way that she looked, how she carried her body, and that she wasn't going to be a dancer. And I believe she was like 92 years old when she started to ballroom dance. She went back at it because there was no way she was leaving this earth with that agreement. And so when we think about that and we reflect on some of the agreements that we've made in the past, those thoughts as they come and they're a little intrusive, we can kind of smack them back down and be like, you know, I don't agree to that. That's just not something that I'm interested in carrying out in my world. And then you can flip it, change it around, and decide what you do agree to. And I believe that we could do that all day long. It's a really great way of checking yourself and then creating an affirmation so that you get to succeed.
Yeah. Use your power of your impeccable words to manifest the reality that you can agree with.
Yeah, I love that.
So let's get into better than yesterday cards.
Perfect.
I'm going to just go with the one on top because it's right here in front of me. Better than yesterday, 121, which is 4, by the way, when you add it up. And then this is episode 7. We read day 6. 7 and 6 is 13. 1 plus 3 is 4, by the way. I'm just saying, it is what it is. They're everywhere.
So fun.
So unfollow any toxic accounts or pages you follow on social media. Ooh, who got the tea? I don't want the tea.
None of
Let
it.
them go.
Oh, man. You know what's crazy is since we started this podcast, I'm actually having a really hard time stepping in on some of the social media platforms at all. Yeah. Because tea is everywhere. Oof, people.
Tea sales. Tea sales.
Absolutely. And it's crazy just because like you don't even know how much you're engaging in until you take this into consideration and you really start to decide what you agree to. And decide not to agree with the tea, man. It's just not worth it. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah. In the last part of this, it says, let go of anyone who makes you feel lesser or who you negatively compare yourself to. Think about that.
Man, I love it. So on my card right now, I love the follow-up here. When life gives you lemons. Better than yesterday, 131. Drink a glass of lemon water today. Lemon water helps blood flow to the brain and gives you a much needed boost of vitamin C. It's kind of funny because at the beginning of the episode, we were chatting and Theo over here was drinking some vitamin C. There's another point to all of this too, which is alchemy. Alchemy and being in alchematic balance or being in a pH aligned balance is some of the best ways to make sure that you don't have illness in your body. Along with that too is tears. You'd be surprised, like tears is acid, it's acidic. And when you are fleshing out some of that acidity, you're aligning your pH again. And so not only could you drink a glass of lemon water to help you out, but you could even shed a few tears and it's all right.
Have a good cry.
Yeah, it's super good for you.
All right. So the topic or title, if you will, of this particular episode is when you're given tea, turn it to pie.
Yeah.
So how do we navigate when someone is throwing us the business. Like their entire approach and the energy that they're trying to gift you is negativity.
So one thing that is interesting is no matter how we navigate life, we're all a bunch of bumbling people around one another. And I always say life is like it's like a big musical, you know, and we're all kind of dancing with each other, but nobody practiced the choreography. So you end up bumping into things that maybe you don't intentionally mean to bump into. So like something can drop in your email, or you could see a text message, and you know, like it's kind of hard not to read what's in front of you. You know, you're given something, and the curiosity, because we're human, we're in the human condition, you know, we're gonna slightly engage even if we don't want to engage. So then what do you do when you've got a whole bucket of tea sitting in front of you? Now there's a lot of different options, you know, like you could just drink it as is, but you can modify it.
Yeah, modification is alchemy again.
Absolutely.
Right? So for me, a few things come to mind. I love visuals, right? And even when you say we're in a musical, it aligns with some of the notes I wrote for what I wanted to talk about, like my concept of what I call watch the whole movie.
Ooh.
Right? So, and what I mean by that is when somebody starts a conversation, especially through text or messenger, where you get the opportunity to read it and you're not in their face, you get to play out an entire movie about many different scenarios, right? So just play it out. Say, okay, this person said this thing to you. It's nasty. It's negative, and instantly you feel this way about it, and your thumbs are ready. You're about to just your reactive mode. I'm about to go in on this person, but play the movie out.
Mm-hmm.
Before you do the actual act. Watch the movie. Okay, so whatever you're about to run with it, but run with it in a visualization exercise. What happens when you say this? Now imagine what they're going to say back. Then imagine where it goes. Now you're in this nasty dialogue. You've spent your allocated currency for the day on this exchange. And now you get to a point where it's another kind of funny concept I was having with myself. And I was saying, oh, now I have insufficient funds.
I love
So
that.
if somebody else comes at me with some negative conversation, do I have an option to put that conversation on layaway until I have the currency to deal with it? But I wouldn't be in that situation if I just pretended to invest the money, role played it out in my mind, and then whatever conclusion the movie has, I have to ask myself, am I okay with that conclusion? Because if not, delete, 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 delete. Not responding is also taking action. It is also a decisive move to disengage and change the narrative, because it does take two to get into an argument. It takes two to have a conflict, a confrontation. And it also leads me to I am not anti essentially anything.
Yeah.
I'm just pro what I believe. And the difference is very profound, because when you're anti war, for example, you're still conflicting against a thing. You're going to war with war. But when you're pro peace, you are just moving in the direction of being peaceful. You're not thinking about war. You're not anti war. You're not holding up signs that says no war. You're just moving in a peaceful way. And so when you have tea thrown at you and you're in this mode and you're taking some of our guidance and deciding that you don't want to engage in tea because we are all allergic, just on different levels, you can just choose to be pro pie. Change the dynamic of the conversation.
Yeah, one thing that I do or have done is, it actually was kind of funny. I was just reflecting on it, but I had an employer who lived all day, every day drinking tea. And then when I just now thought about it, he literally was drinking tea, iced tea all damn day. So extra interesting visual. But what I used to do that was really helpful for me is anytime that he was serving up the tea, and then I was like kind of filling up with a little bit myself, I was about to pop back and probably create a situation that wasn't that helpful for me, I would visualize him as a baby that nobody would pick up. And when I started to think about that, that big man drinking the tea wasn't that big anymore. He was just a flailing little baby. And then I don't want to yell at a baby, I don't want to come at a baby harsh. And so I think that's something you can do when anyone slides in your little inbox or sends you that text message. You can see maybe they're just kind of a flailing little tantrum, and they just are trying to get attention or trying to find resolve, and they don't have the tools to navigate it without serving the tea. And then you can even offer them a different way of switching it up. So I take my reactivity. I wonder, what is it building inside of me? And then I think, okay, wait a minute. Now, how can I flip it? How can I turn it into something impeccable? What could I say right now that from that, like you were saying, that all sides visual, being a witness of the whole scenario, how could I change what's actually happening right now and turn it into the positive nature that I want the conversation to flow into? And then what's really interesting is you gain a power inside of you that is just unbelievable. It feels like God. It feels like the universe. It feels like you're serving a higher power that then will perpetuate more growth and inspiration, not only just with you and that person and that conversation, but then for the rest of your day. You're not sitting there festering on what you said to somebody that you now have to apologize for, or make reparations to somebody that maybe you didn't even want to engage with in the first place. You get to walk away with your head held high, and you get to be proud of how you were accountable for your own emotions.
I love that word. I was just sitting there thinking, accountability is so freeing, but yet it's so elusive in our society, because when you take full accountability of your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings, it comes with the good and the bad. So you get to own it. You can't say, oh, this person sent me a text and made me so angry and I just had to respond that way. That's not taking accountability for your role in this back and forth conversation or the situation, right? So you get to take accountability for your reality by choosing to not be upset and looking at it as, what's this person going through? Right. That's, again, in our agreements, we talk about, I agree that curiosity fosters connection. Curiosity fosters connection. Get curious. If you get a random text or something nasty sent to you from anyone you're in any type of acquaintance, relationship with, or dialogue with, ask yourself why.
Right.
What is the motive? And if you want to go a step further in a not so confrontational way, figure out a way to have them take accountability for the why behind someone sends you this random thing, some tea, and you can ask them like, yo, what do you want me to do with this? What is the point of this? Where are you going with this? Where is this conversation headed? Why do you want me to know this particular information?
Yeah, the other thing that really brings up to me too is in the blueprint, we say that although maybe I have been a victim, right, I am no longer going to be one today. And so when you take accountability and you take ownership, you also eliminate victimhood. You're not going to be the victim of anything that comes in your way, because you're not allowing it to take you on. You're not allowing it to win. And you get to have that accountability is actually one of the most freeing ways of making sure that you're not stuck in victimhood anymore. You don't have to ever be the victim to anything in your life, as long as you hold that accountability in self.
Yes. And so I teach a parenting class. One of the hats I wear, I'm a parent instructor. But I always look to others in the field. I'm constantly looking for ways to gain knowledge, to make pie, to pursue my own internal evolution. I'm always looking. So one of the people that I came across first in a book, and then I looked up on YouTube, and then I played her at my parenting class yesterday, is Dr. Becky Kennedy. She's the author of, I think, Good Inside, right? And one thing that really stood out yesterday when I was watching this YouTube was when she said, just watch your baby. And I'm thinking we just did an episode called The Witness, right? And so, but also she said sometimes, like she had a story about her son, and one morning he just decided he wasn't going to do everything he normally does. And she said this was her son that usually gets up, brushes his teeth, does all the things, decided not to do the things because of a particular thing. Mm-hmm. And by her initially wanting to be reactive, but not being reactive, and just stating the fact of the thing, she said her son started to just go into his routine. So basically, she was like, so this morning this happened, and now you're feeling like everything's all messed up and your routine's out of whack. And the point of it was to just sometimes us as human beings just want to be heard and acknowledged. Yeah. With that comes a relief. Like, I do exist. You're not just telling them, get your stuff together and get ready because whatever. Just acknowledging it. So I fast forward to say, again, when we're talking about someone giving you tea unsolicited, if you can look past the words and maybe just objectively talk about where they might be. Yeah. It seems to me like you're upset because, right? That might change the dynamic of that conversation exponentially, because whatever the information they're giving you, the core behind it might just be an unmet need. Like they need some attention, or they need to vent, or they feel frustrated about something totally different. So they might give you some tea about a coworker, and it's some nasty stuff or whatever. So take the context away and look at the need of the person, and then just state it as a fact. Yeah. Seems to me like you're pretty frustrated about this thing. And that's it.
Yeah, it's actually, I love the way that our podcast rolls. There's always a way that it weaves into perfection. And so I'm going to take a chance to share a little bit about the shirt that I have on right now. And it is about being a witness as a parent. My father, he was 38 years old when he had me. So he was retired from the military. He was a different man when he had me versus when he had kids 17 years before, my older siblings. It was a different kind of parenting. And what he was a parent of intentions. He was always trying to navigate life with me with intent and the way he was teaching me or witnessing me and all of those things. So this was back in the 90s, right? There was the Old Navy fleece, right? Everybody wanted that Old Navy fleece zip up, and I wanted it so bad. Mostly, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like all the cool kids that already had them. And so it was around Christmas time, and I asked my dad for that Old Navy fleece sweatshirt. And he said, why do you want to be like everybody else? Why do you want to follow people? Like, I get that you want to fit in, but wouldn't you rather be unique or different, And so underneath the Christmas tree, he stapled up an Old Navy bag. And that Old Navy bag was sitting there for a couple weeks. And I would be like, oh, it's right in there. That's my sweater. I know it, Dad. And he would be careful. You don't know what's in that package, And then I get to Christmas and I open up the bag and I've got this old Army sweater. My dad was retired Army. And he said, this is cool. This is unique. This is different, Right. And then he said, hey, don't worry, you little brat. There's another present under there. And I went to the other present, and it was the Old Navy fleece. He still gave me the opportunity to fit in. He knew that was something that I needed in my teens, and that was cool. But he also gifted me a lesson. He pivoted my emotions. He pivoted my intellect. He really was teaching me something that would last a lifetime. And so right now, here I am. I don't have the Old Navy fleece. And I don't really like fitting in with the people just because. I like being different. I like being unique. And I still have this. So I think that his witnessing of my needs at the moment was wonderful. But he also gave me a lesson and a blessing.
That's beautiful. So on that note, we're going to end the way we always end, with the 4 agreement cards. Perfect. I have 2. Priscilla Z has 2. We're going to go into another recording after this with a very special guest. You'll see after this episode.
Absolutely. Would you like to start, B?
Since you asked, we'll start with number 1. Be impeccable with your word. Manifest your true intentions. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent will manifest through the word. What you dream, you will feel. And what you really are will all be manifested through the word.
Oh, I love that. Goes back to what we were reading, Keep Effing Going, too. You want to really give it to yourself. Always do your best, and your best is changing all the time. Your best will depend on whether you are refreshed in the morning or tired at night. Your best will be different when you are happy as opposed to upset, or healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstances, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret.
Speaks for itself. Don't take anything personally. When you refuse to take things personally, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your feelings of anger, jealousy, and even your sadness will simply disappear if you don't take things personally.
I love the way that goes into taking pie or taking tea and turning it into pie, because a lot of the times when they're coming at you, it ain't nothing personal, but you get to do something personal with it. You get to keep that pie, which goes right into my card I'm so happy for. Don't make assumptions. Eliminate gossip. Making assumptions is a setup for suffering, because usually we gossip about our assumptions. We make assumptions and believe we are right. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make others wrong. Beautiful.
I love doing this show because we don't just do a show. There's no script. We read these things in real time. Sometimes, well, really, it's for the first time. Every time we pick up any of these cards, it's for the first time. I open the box just for this reason. Mm-hmm. And so it's always fresh and authentic. One of my upcoming guests said, hey, can you send me some questions that you'll have? And I was like, nope, don't do that. Everything's authentic. So thank you guys again. Thank all of you for your comments, your feedback, your subscription. Man, just pie. Pursue internal evolutions, and you can't go wrong. I promise.
No, it is an honor to have this place to be authentic and to be vulnerable. And I do believe that being authentic, vulnerable, and honest with self, we are always on the mission for pursuing internal evolution. And we appreciate you guys for all doing the same.
And big shout out to Joshua Smith.
Yeah, and Jordan Davis. Thank you guys. We
Keep
appreciate
effing
you
going,
going.
y'all.